how did we get to where CI/CD is today? CI really started out as build automation, and then you started, expanding beyond just automating your builds. You started adding unit tests in there. You started adding lint testing, and then eventually
static code analysis.
And so at that point, you now needed something like a pipeline, or you needed a pipeline-like tool that could take it from, your compiled to your linking to your packaging to your unit tests and your SAS and DAS, and then eventually to, I need this to go somewhere that we can run automated tests on it. Not only unit tests, but also higher level functional tests.
But prior to all this, F5 was your best friend, right?
F5 on the keyboard.
Yeah, F5 on the keyboard. Microsoft Visual Studio, compile, build your code locally.
Oh yeah, okay. You're going back to the Microsoft slant. Yes. So
I'm from the Microsoft. I'm a Microsoft.
Yeah. So back then, people still use Visual Studio. I don't know why I said back then, but yeah, that's
VS Code is really like one of the key tools in the marketplace today. Although I wouldn't call it Visual Studio because it's a much different experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, F5 was mapped to the build key, but build is just the first part of your pipeline.
And it used to happen just locally.
Very often, it was locally. All depends on the organization you're working for.
I mean, even still today, you still build locally, right? Before you even consider doing your CI part.
I would say most organizations are set up that way. That you build locally before you commit. You should. That's best practice.
Which is why I love that T-shirt of it. It works on my machine.
Yeah.
There's no better place to test than on your local machine.
Yeah. But depending on the organization, your local machine just may be a dumb terminal that's connecting to a server. And so, while you're truly building local in your own IDE, which is what Visual Studio really is, you're typically firing off some sort of CI tool. The vast majority of them in the early days was all Jenkins, and then that would run that whole pipeline that we described a couple times already.
And correct me if I'm mistaken, right? But part of that integration build is now kind of folding in the JFrog stuff with Artifactory.
Yeah, the more we're going towards a Git-based version control system, and almost everyone's using GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, you need some place to throw those intermediate files. So once you compile something, it becomes an object or a binary. You need to park it somewhere, and you can no longer park it in your version control system like we used to be able to. Artifactory is the clear leader in the industry as far as a repository for binaries.
Yeah. And JFrog making this tool, I think they have some breaking news, don't they, that we want to share with the world here?
There's a number of interesting things that are happening at our friends over at JFrog. Without this becoming a complete JFrog commercial here, so they have an annual user conference that happens in September, and they've just announced, within the last week, registration's completely open for SwampUp, and I've been dancing around this particular announcement. But thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, ReleaseTEAM. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but ReleaseTEAM is my consulting company, and we are being spotlighted by JFrog for the month of May. So.
What is this? Is there a benefit? Do you get a trophy, sticker?
Well, I'm sure I'll get some stickers, maybe a T-shirt, but we're getting some promotion. We do a lot of services around Artifactory. a few or a slightly lesser amount around advanced security. Advanced security is their security product, but excuse me, I've been coughing a lot. So we resell JFrog products and provide services around them. Like I was talking about when we're talking about CI/CD, the vast majority of our customers are using Artifactory. So we'll go in to help a company with GitLab services or Atlassian services, and more often than not, they have a need for Artifactory. Either they're already using Artifactory, or we introduce Artifactory to the client. Which is the main tool. And we try to bring along advanced security as well as a lot of benefits to tie security in at the binary level, as well as in the pipeline. And advanced security does that very well.